What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another fantasy football video. Pumped for this one. This is a really good one for you guys. These are the lottery picks. These are the guys that I've been saying through all of the mock drafts, all the rankings videos. These are the guys you target late because they're lottery picks. You take the wide receivers early, you take the studs, and then late, you take shots on these guys. Robert Turbin, first one on the list. Not a guy I'm totally talking about with this. He's more of a guy that I want everyone to watch in the first couple weeks. Watch Frank Gore, watch Robert Turbin, how much he's seeing the field, also in the preseason too, because I think he has the potential to take that starting job, and that's what all these guys in this list are. They're guys that I think have potential to be RB1s by the end of the year. Yes, Robert Turbin has potential to be RB1, and when his average draft position is 94th, I have him ranked somewhere in the 40 to 50 range. I mean, this kid runs a 4.440 and he's 223. That's an 86th percentile adjusted speed score. He's got a 95th percentile bench press. He is huge. Gore is 33 years old. I know he's Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Doesn't Get Hurt, Mr. 60 yards and maybe a touchdown each game. Probably not a touchdown each game, but he's consistently like 950. But you know what? He's getting older. And I don't care who you are, you regress when you're 33 years old. So I think Turbin, obviously younger than Gore, he's very athletic. And I think in that offense, in that Colts offense, I think he has the chance to push Gore for that #1 role, even if he doesn't get hurt. Push time on the field, and if Gore gets hurt, I mean, Turbin, I think will be the backup after the preseason. So definitely a guy you want to look at first couple weeks of the season. Maybe he's an add-off waiver guy, but probably not someone that you're going to end up drafting. Everyone else on this list you are going to draft. So let's get right into it. At the 4 spot, Karlos Williams. And I don't really understand why he's running back 51. I have him somewhere in the 38 to 45 range, and I think that's a good range for him. Last year, 600 total yards, 9 touchdowns, 5.6 yards per carry. That's a really good yards per carry average. 9 total touchdowns. I mean, the kid gets in the end zone. McCoy gets injured a lot. He's a clear backup at this point. There is no one else. There was that report that he came into training camp a little overweight. Blamed it on his wife, of course, because his wife's pregnant. And he's like, oh, well, I had to get her a bunch of food, and I'd just be snacking on it all day. Well, that's nice. I guarantee you he's going to get back into shape. He's a really good athlete. And it's really not even a risk. If you're drafting him, it's going to be like the 13th round. The last 2 rounds, you should be taking defense kicker. Maybe the round right before that, depending on how many rounds your draft has, because that depends how many teams are in it. Basically, the last round when you take a skill position player, you know what? Grab Karlos Williams, because he's a great handcuff if you have McCoy. But even if you don't, the kid got 9 touchdowns last year, and McCoy played decent amount of the year. I think Williams only started 1 or 2 games. And, I mean, 5.6 yards per carry as a rookie is pretty darn good. So, I like him. You don't have to have him as a handcuff, but I like him as a potential breakout. Next, at the number 3 spot, we have the guy that burned me last year, Melvin Gordon. Drafted him in the 3rd round last year. No idea why, because everyone I talked to about him, I was saying he's the next Trent Richardson. But you know what? You gotta think he's going to be better. Like, you've got to think he's going to be better. They're a decent offense. They're not anything great. They pass a ton. Rivers chucks the ball a ton. And 3.5 yards a carry. He basically played every single week last year. 0 touchdowns. A lot of people will not touch him this year. And I didn't think I would either. But you know what? Then I kind of looked at his stats, and they weren't terrible. Okay, Woodhead is also dealing with an ankle injury. You got to watch that because I believe he had ankle surgery a year or 2 ago, something like that. But he had a better catch rate than Woodhead last year. It was a 90% catch rate. It was 3rd highest in the league. So he's a very underrated pass catcher. He had a really, really low production premium last year. And if you don't know production premium, I have talked about it a few times. It's basically how productive they were. So it's a measure of a player's productivity across league average situations, discounting non-average situations. So like the 2-minute drill, garbage time, it discounts that because really a receiver in garbage time, how good really are they doing? A positive value indicates that a player is more efficient than the league average, and a negative value is less efficient. he had a super negative value. I mean, it was just dreadful. So bad. So he wasn't good last year. We know that. He had 57 evaded tackles, though. McCoy last year on 18 more touches than Melvin did had 61. So everyone's like, oh, McCoy, super shifty, evades tackles. Melvin Gordon was basically as elusive as LeSean McCoy was last year. So he's a guy that you're basically taking a shot on. That'd be like your running back 3 to 4 range. So he doesn't have to start for you right away, but definitely a guy to look at. Not sure how many drafts I'll draft him in just because he burned me last year, but this guy will be drafting. I probably have him a little too high, I'll be honest. I'm going to be moving him down. But right now, he's my running back 21, going on average to running back 34, and it's Chris Ivory. Again, I've talked about it a ton. The Jags have an improved defense by a lot, and they're a good offense. So they're going to be up in games. I think they're a potential playoff team this year. Like, they've improved a lot on defense. Go check out the Why Allen Robinson Could Be a Bust video. It talks about all the improvements they've made on defense. And I honestly think they're going to be a really good team. Love the Jags this year. He's going to push Yeldon. He's basically, I think, going to get the first and second down carries away from Yeldon. Yeldon will be more of a third down role. But just imagine a world that Yeldon gets hurt and the Jags are up in the fourth quarter and Ivory can run the ball with them a ton. Like if Ivory gets like 22 carries a game for the Jags, I mean, he's an RB1 at that point. And he's a guy that on average you're getting at running back 34. He has huge touchdown potential. I mean, they're not going to run. Last year, if it was first and goal at the 1, I've said this before, first and goal at the 1, the Jags were throwing the ball to Allen Robinson. I don't think they're going to do that this year. I think they're going to give more carries to Ivory. More carries in the red zone, and he's going to have more opportunities than Yeldon did last year because they're not going to be down as much. So they're going to be running the ball with Ivory a lot. Love him. Probably not running back 21. I'd say if I had to guess, I'll probably move him to about 25. But again, that's still 9 spots ahead of his ADP. I don't know what that's going to be once the drafts actually roll around. But right now it's 34. And if you take him at like 25, that's great value. And I think he's going to produce that value. So now, the number 1 spot, a guy I am pumped about this year. He'll be on almost every one of my teams, I think, and that's Charles Sims. Right now, ADP is 38. I have him ranked 28th. Maybe move him higher. Listen, this guy is good. 88th percentile adjusted speed score, 77th percentile college dominance rating, so he has done it before. He's been good. 88th percentile breakout age, so he broke out young. It didn't take him until he was 22 to be good in college. He was good when he was young. A plus 19.4 production premium last year, 20th in the league. I've talked to you guys, that basically means he's a lot more productive than the average running back was, given his amount of touches and carries and receptions. Doug Martin had -3. Everyone was talking about how great Doug Martin was. Doug Martin had a -3 production premium. Charles Sims was better than Doug Martin was last year. They had the same yards per carry, 4.9, which was 11th in the league. Doug Martin and Sims both had that. And you got to remember, Doug Martin had 1,400 rush yards last year. Charles Sims, as the backup, had 1,200 combined yards. I believe it was about 51 receptions, and it was both about 500. I think he may have had 600 rush and like 500 receive. I don't exactly remember. I don't remember exactly how many he had, but they're basically the same. So it was maybe upper 500s, I think, for rushing and receiving each. I think that's what it was. But regardless, he is the third down guy. Doug Martin doesn't even sniff the field on third down. It's all Charles Sims. And if Doug Martin gets hurt or stinks, which has both happened in the past, Sims is a number 1 running back. And for a guy that you can get average draft position 38, a guy that you can say, given the opportunity, he is a number 1, that's huge. And that's great value. So that's the end of the video. If you watched this far, you at least somewhat liked it, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.